Just think, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the Thin Clergyman's books. 75 years! My goodness, that is so long. Just think, children all over the world are still entertained by our stories, even in an era where the steam age is gone. I wonder if there's anything planned. Oh, there is, but I'll announce the arrangements later on in the month. Anyway, Happy New Year! One morning, the Thin Controller came to see his engines at the sheds. As you know, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the Thin Clergyman's books, and we will be holding our own celebration here on the Skarloey Railway. The engines all cheered with a cry of whistles and horns. I'm not surprised by your reactions. He then paused and said, "Speaking of the 75th anniversary, a booklet is going to be published for the Fat Controller's anniversary gala at the big station in May, and he has hired a writer to publish all of your stories." "Oh, who is it, sir?" asked Rusty. "That'll be me, of course," came a reply. The engines gasped in disbelief, as standing right towards them was Christopher, the Thin Clergyman's son. "Christopher, we haven't seen you for a while. You're the writer? I mean, it makes sense, of course." "Indeed I am. I'm going round the island to see as many engines as I can and write their stories for the booklet. So if you have any stories, please don't be shy to share." Later, Rheneas pulled up towards a water tower. With it being the middle of winter, there weren't many holiday makers to take to the lake, so Rheneas was placed on slate deliveries instead. "It's better than staying in the shed all day," he would say. While he was being topped up with water, he saw a family standing nearby. A little girl soon cried, "Look, Mummy! Look, Daddy! It's Skarloey!" "I'm not Skarloey, little girl. My name's Rheneas. See?" "Oh, sorry, Rheneas." "It's all right. It's only a little mistake." And once he was full to the brim, he puffed away, giving a little peep of his whistle to the family. Soon Rheneas arrived back at Crovensgate, where Christopher, Skarloey and Duke were waiting. He then told them about what he had encountered. Duke and Skarloey laughed. "What makes it so funny?" asked Christopher. "It just reminded us about the time that they were given rebates," replied Duke. "That was years ago," said Rheneas. "Could you please tell me, Rheneas?" asked Christopher. "Yes, I'll tell you. This might be good for the Fat Controller's booklet." So Rheneas began his story. Before the engines of the Skarloey Railway were painted in different colours, they were all painted red, with the exception of Rusty being black and Duke being brown. At first, no one seemed to be bothered that they were all painted in the same livery. But as the years passed, things were different. When Rheneas pulled into one of the stations, he overheard them referring to him as Skarloey. "I'm not Skarloey," he replied to the passengers crossly. "My name is Rheneas. My name is on my boiler." "Oh," replied the passengers. "We thought you were him, considering that he's the red one on the television." Oh. Later that night, all the engines were discussing the issue of their livery. "If you ask me, they should try to read the books more often. We've been this colour all our lives, and if they don't like it, then bad luck to them." "Ha! You're talking rubbish," scoffed Sir Handel. "More people are watching that television show nowadays." "Indeed they are," came a reply. It was Roger Sam, the Finn controller of the Skarloey Railway. "I've received a lot of feedback from our visitors over the past few weeks, and they told me that they would rather see you all looking like your television counterparts, as they are finding all of you being read very confusing. I've contacted Miss Allcroft to get her blessing, and she gave it in return for a nominal fee. So when the summer season ends, we'll start getting you all repainted." When he left, Rheneas started to complain. "It's not like you to be getting all grumpy, Rheneas. Usually I see an argument like this from either Duncan or Sir Handel," replied Skarloey. "Well, I have the right to be unhappy about some things," huffed Rheneas. "I like my red paint, thank you." "They'll keep mistaking you for Skarloey if you hold on to that red livery. Some even mistook me for Skarloey when I worked at the Talyllyn Railway in Wales. I doubt that." Soon the summer season was over, and the Finn controller's workmen got started with the repaint. Months had passed by, and when the summer returned for another year, some of the engines were already in different colours, while some were still waiting to be repainted. Rheneas was one of these unpainted engines. Since Skarloey was away for his repaint, Rheneas had to take his trains. With him not yet being repainted, he was feeling very pleased with himself all day long, as everyone began to recognise him as his own self. "Daddy, it's Rheneas!" cried a little boy. "Indeed it is. And Sir Handel thinks I'll be mistaken for Skarloey," he thought to himself, and laughed. "Evening, Sir Handel. You seem so cheery today. What's up?" And Rheneas explained to him how he wasn't being referred to as Skarloey. Sir Handel chuckled. "I don't think they'll last long." "Why?" asked Rheneas. "Skarloey?" he gasped. "What are you doing back so soon? I thought you were being repainted." "I was. My television counterpart is painted in red like I was in the books. However, I have white lining instead of my blue and yellow lining, so that there are some subtle changes. I'll be back to hauling my trains tomorrow, so thank you for looking after my passengers for me today." You're welcome, Skarloey." The next day, Rheneas was taking passengers to Lakeside. But as he pulled into a station, some passengers could be heard saying that he was Skarloey. "I'm not Skarloey, I'm Rheneas." "Oh, sorry. You both look the same, though." "I know." All day he was getting the same treatment, and he had to answer the same remarks, and they all had the same response to his answer. Rheneas had no other choice. I'm tired. Tired of what? Tired of being referred to as you by our passengers. I don't want people to say that I'm you by virtue of carrying this red livery around. Even if the lining is different, people aren't going to notice apart from enthusiasts. So I decided that the only option is to be repainted in the likeness of my television counterpart. I think that's the only good idea left, my friend. Tell me though, why were you against the repaint in the first place anyway? This livery has been a part of me since I was first built, and I've grown rather attached to it ever since. You was there when I came to this railway, you was there when I rescued you from your mudslide, and it was there when I fought through damp rails with a train full of passengers when this railway was having a hard time. I feel like I'm getting rid of all of that history. Oh, Rheneas, I understand how you feel. But think about this. Who rescued me in that landslide? I did. And who fought through those damp rails? I did. Exactly. Whether you wear the same colours or not, you, the engine, still carry that history, no matter what paint you wear. Your history is still fine. Plus, in the years to come, the children who are watching our television serials might read the books and see the major difference. I won't expect them to be familiar with it, but if they come to our railway, we will explain it to them, and some people will show them pictures of us in our original liveries to prove it. I hope so, replied Rheneas, who was smiling for the first time that day. The next day, Rheneas was shunted into the work shed by Fred. A few days later, Rheneas puffed out of the shed for the first time since he had been shunted. As he pulled out, the engines gasped in wonderment. There was Rheneas, who was now painted in vermilion with black and gold lining. How do you feel about the new look, Rheneas? I think it looks better than I expected. I hope the passengers think the same as well. And his hopes were indeed correct. When he puffed into the station, everyone was referring to him by his real name, and as the days and months passed, even beyond the summer season, the passengers still referred to him as Rheneas and had done ever since. Thank you for sharing that story, Rheneas. It's my pleasure, replied Rheneas happily. He then looked at Skarloey and said, and I'm sure more new fans of the television series will see our archival collection for the 75th celebrations, eh, Skarloey? Of course, chuckled Skarloey.